Hi, it's Candice from Grow Local again, and we're going to talk about fertilizers today. NPK. Those are the three letters that you're going to find on most items, and they stand for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And if you're one of those people that can never get the letters in order, nitrogen is for your green leafy growth. Phosphorus, pH, if you were trying to line something up in the library, comes before PO. So phosphorus is the one in the middle, and it is the one that gets you more flowers and seeds and fruit production. And the K, which is your potassium, that's for your overall health of the plant. It helps resist disease, it helps take up all the nutrients, it's good for water absorption, and like I said, just all around general health. Now when you get your fertilizer, you're going to see some numbers on it. This one says 20, 20, 20. That means that's the volume of the nutrients that are available in this. So you've got 20% nitrogen, 20% phosphorus, and 20% potassium. Ones that are for tomatoes might be slightly different. The one I've got says 18, 18, 21 because you want to have lots of green growth. You really want high numbers for your fruit production, but mostly you want really good nutritional water uptake and disease prevention with your tomatoes. These ones are water soluble. Now those are the ones, think of them like a chocolate bar for your plants. They're going to be instant gratification. They're not going to last that long, but they're going to give your plants the boost that they need when they need it. And these ones typically you would have to apply once every 7 to 10 days. Or if you aren't very good with schedules, do it weekly, and that should keep you on track. This one is what they call a granular or slow release. You might have heard of some of them called feed and forget. These ones go into the soil. They last a little bit longer, some for 3 months, some for 6 months, which is really, really nice. But they are also water, temperature, and soil microbial dependent. So if all the conditions aren't right, they're not going to activate, which means you might need to use your water soluble ones. This one, when you apply it to the soil, it's just a case of sprinkling it on and then just covering it up with a little bit of soil. Okay, and that's it. Every time you water, it's going to dissolve a little bit and release a few more nutrients or fertilizer into your soil. These ones that I've got here are a slow release also. They're more organic. They are going to, in the long run, do your soil more good. This one is your seaweed meal. Really, really good for your tomatoes. You don't have to apply a whole lot, but it's really good for the overall health of the plant, and it's got micronutrients in it. This is one that's taken all the guesswork out of it for you. It's got all sorts of lovely things in there: feather meal, alfalfa meal, bone meal, blood meal, glacial rock dust, natural rock phosphate, fish bone meal, mineralized phosphate, potassium sulfate, insect frass, bug poop, basalt rock dust, humic acid, gypsum, kelp meal, oyster shell flour, and green sand. And guess what? You pronounce all of these so you know it's going to be okay to put in your garden. These ones, this one is a powdered form, and again, this one you can just put into your soil and cover it up. I don't suggest you do it on a windy day. It's not very nice if you have to do that. Make sure you wear a mask and some glasses. And if you get caught feeding it to deer and elk and stuff, you might get in a little bit of trouble. But other than that, there's not a whole lot you need to do. These ones you would add probably once at the beginning of the season, maybe once halfway through. These ones again, once every 7 to 10 days or weekly. This guy, once for the season and you're done. And that's about it for your fertilizers. This time I've got a few things for the kids. How many of you guys ever grow your own French fries? Have you? I'm going to show you how. I have a potato here, and this isn't the one that I'm going to plant today, but I thought it would be kind of curious or interesting rather, for you guys to look at it If you've got a potato in your drawer, take it out and see if you can find the eyebrow. Potatoes have eyebrows, and right below that eyebrow is where the sprout is going to come out. Did you know that? It's kind of cool, isn't it? When you have your potato and it's already got the sprouts coming out, you can either plant this whole thing or you can cut it in half, because I got to sprout there and I got a whole bunch of sprouts here. And this is what's going to feed the potato for the first while. When you cut your potato in half, and I've lost my knife, just give me a second. They will tell you when you cut it that you're supposed to let it scab over or callus over. When you first cut it, it's going to be nice and shiny and wet and liquidy like that. If you leave it for 20 minutes, maybe the afternoon, cut it before you go to bed and plant it the next day, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a little bit dried out, and that's a barrier that the potato has made to stop bacteria from getting into it, so it's going to grow really well. Now you're going to take your potato, and these are called the eyes, these little sprouts, and you're going to put eyes to the sky, and you're going to drop it into the ground, and you're going to cover it with maybe that much soil, and then you're going to water it, and you're going to let it grow. I've got some here. They've already started to grow. And when your potatoes get this high, they actually only have to be about 6 inches high, and then you can cover up so that all but the top 2 inches are showing. That's called hilling. And all you're doing is burying your potato. And where the soil is going to hit that stem, it's going to send out more shoots, and those shoots they send them out like this, and at the end of them, you're going to get little baby potatoes growing. So can you see? I'm burying them up pretty good. Woohoo! And I can actually keep on going. If I wanted to, I could probably wait till the potato got like that, and I could hill it all the way up to there if I was able. Once you get some flowers on your potato, if you're really good, mark it on the calendar, and about 10 days to 2 weeks after those flowers have come out, you can dig your fingers in just like that and root around, and you'll probably find some pea-sized or marble-sized potatoes, and then you know it's really growing. When your potatoes start to look a little bit, they start getting brown, they start looking wilty, you can cut off the tops and leave them in the ground if you're going to save them for a while. If you're going to eat them right away, just chop off the tops and dig them up. Get all your potatoes, take them into the kitchen, wash them up real good, slice them into fries or potato chips. Get Mom to help you cook them. They're so, so good. And if you guys are stuck for a math project for the summer, go to the grocery store or get Mom to bring the receipt home and figure out how much one potato costs. And then figure out, if it's a 4-ounce potato, figure out how much 4 ounces of French fries, frozen, cost. And then figure out how much 4 ounces of potato chips cost. And you're gonna go, whoa, this is dumb. I'm gonna grow my own French fries. I can eat way more and save money, right? That's it for growing potatoes. Now I do have a couple other ideas that I thought I would show you because I know Father's Day is coming. One of them, they're actually both kind of herby. This is a herb pot, and I have some globe basil, and I've got some savory. And I've decided I'm going to do this one up like a garden. So I had some old poppies, and I saved the seed heads on a stem. Well, guess what? I also have an old busted up piece of tile. So I put the tile in there, and I actually broke off a whole bunch of these little stems, and I made it like a little fence. And this guy is going to be my reading light, because guess what? I have 2 of my favorite little guys, Bear and Rabbit, and they're sitting there and they're reading a book. What do you bet they're reading tops and bottoms? And they're trying to figure out what they're going to grow in their garden. You can probably still get this through the library, maybe find it on the internet and get it, or you might have read it already, but I love it. If you are one of those people that have read it already, see if you can find this guy. He's really good too, and he's got all sorts of really cool pictures of seeds and seedlings and plants all through it, and you probably have a really good time. Okay, one last thought. If you haven't planted your hot crops like your tomatoes and your peppers, it's still not too late. You've got lots of time. You've got another couple weeks that you can get them in, but sooner is better. And if you don't know how to do it, we're going to be showing you the segment that shows you how to get them in the ground and growing well again. Hi, it's Candace. I'm back with Grow Local, and we are going to go and check the containers that we did last time. One was the kale with the Swiss chard and the lettuce, and I don't know if yours is bigger or if it's smaller, but either way, I hope it's growing. And today is the day that we're going to plant the tomato in the container that we had the radish on the outside and the lettuce on the inside. Now, some of my lettuce is coming up okay, some of it not so much, but I have had some trouble with some slugs, so it might have been them. This tomato is called a bush early girl, and this one is what they refer to as a determinant. That means this tomato is going to grow to a certain height and it's going to have a certain amount of fruit, and then it's done. If you are going to grow an indeterminate, those are vining tomatoes, and they will keep on growing as long as the weather holds, and they can get incredibly tall, 6 feet, 7 feet, maybe even bigger. But for the container, we're going to be doing the bush, the determinate one. And here's something that you're probably going to want, you're probably not even going to think about doing. But if you look at your tomato, it's got all sorts of little hairs on it, and sometimes you'll find little bumps on it. Those are actually potential roots. And the stronger root system you've got on a tomato, the more nutrients it's going to be able to take up, and it's going to be a little more stable in this windy little city we have here. So the first thing that you're going to do is look at the 2 leaves at the bottom. Those were the cotyledons, or the seed leaves that first came out. This is your first set of true leaves. This is what a tomato leaf actually looks like. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick off those cotyledons, and then you're going to pinch off this guy. And if you want, you can pinch off that guy. I still get a little bit nervous about it, but you could leave it. It's going to end up looking more like a palm tree. You're going to take your tomato out, and you will make a hole. And I'm going to use gloves, guys. Sorry, I forgot to put them on. But I want you to make a hole in your container that's going to accommodate that lovely tomato all the way up there. So he's buried really well. And wherever those little hairs are in contact with the soil, you are going to get more roots, stronger plant, and you're going to get some awesome looking tomatoes later. Some people find that their soil is not very deep and they don't think that they can plant their tomato that far down. There is a trick that some people do. Tomatoes are an intelligent little plant. They know which way the sun is, and they know which way they have to grow. So if you were to take this plant and lay it on the ground for a couple of days, the stem will naturally bend up. And where all these little hairs have attached to the soil, they're going to make roots. So then you can bury it. You still got a really good, long, strong root system, and your tomato will grow up. This one, I'll pick off some more, make him some more. This is a black crim. This is a vining one. It's also an heirloom, which just means he's been around for a long, long time and hasn't been commercialized. And I'm digging down deep. And see if he's going to fit. I can go a little farther. And then I will take him out. And if you remember, it's make the L with your hand so that you're not breaking the stem. Pop him in. Save my tag so I know what he is. And because this is a vining tomato, it's going to need support. There is no way it's going to be able to stand up on its own. So in this case, I'm going to use a pole, just a bamboo pole, and I'm going to put it in the ground beside where the root ball was. And just sink it in. And as it grows, I have handy dandy little Velcro ties. You can use the t-shirts, you can use old pantyhose, anything that's got some give or that is easy for you to adjust for the size. Because if you were to put something around this really, really tightly, the stem's going to continue to get fatter and fatter and fatter, and then you'll strangle your tomato plant. So I just keep these on the pole, so when it grows up tall, I've already got them there for attaching later. This guy is another black crim, and again, he's a lot bigger. And if you can notice on this is what they refer to as a sucker. You've got a branch coming off, there's the main stalk, and it's a new set of leaves. Some people will pinch them off, some people won't. If you want to find out if it's really advantageous to you or not, buy 2 tomato plants that are the same. Take all the suckers off of one, don't take them off the other, and see if it makes a difference to you. Good strong roots. Plunk them in. And I tell you, the first time you do this, it scares the starch off you, taking all those leaves and branches off your tomato. But there you go. This is not going to do any good. Not if it grows to 6 feet. So again, I grew tomatoes last year and didn't think it through. All my tomatoes were ready to ripen when I was on vacation. So being the nice people that we are, we told the neighbors to come over and just pick to their heart's content, and they did. But I tell you, we had the little Candyland, which is a little tiny currant tomato, and it's absolutely awesome. We had more tomatoes on that thing. You just go and you pull them all off, toss them in the salad. There's no chopping, no muss, no fuss. Kids just absolutely love them. They'll keep stealing them from you. But there we go. I've got actually 3 tomatoes planted in here. And something that goes really well with tomatoes is basil. I got one that's already started. Basil and tomatoes are really compatible. Bugs don't like the smell of the basil. They don't necessarily really like the fuzziness off the tomato leaves either. But if you're gonna do these, you'd plant it so that the heat of the sun at noon is usually really scorchy on basil. But if you plant it close to your tomato, when that noonday sun comes by, your tomato leaves are going to be giving it a little bit of shade. So I am going to plunk this guy over here. And there, I've got my tomato and basil. And it's a little bit windy today, so I'm going to do my seed basil tomorrow, and that will probably just go in here. I haven't quite decided yet. Oh, one more. If you are on a balcony, you can actually grow tomatoes in that sort of a space. This is one that fits on a fence. I've got it right there. This is called a tumbling tom. I've already taken off the leaves. The pot isn't that deep, so what I'm going to do is just break this open just a little bit. It's not going to hurt the tomato. It's not going to kill it. Might shock it a little bit, which just means he's going to flip out and go, I need to make more roots. I need to get a better anchor. And this little guy will completely fill your pot, tumble over, and you will have all sorts of cherry tomatoes growing. And it just keeps going and going and going. Also, when you're doing a container, try to use your potting mixes. They're a different composition. If you are just using regular garden soil, a lot of times it's too dense and it doesn't have the same kind of bug activity that keeps it nice and light and friable. And when you're watering this at the end of the season, if you were just using regular garden soil in your small containers, a lot of times it's just solid like a brick and your plants don't do that well in it. As long as it says it's for containers or pots, don't worry about the brand. Use what you can get, okay? They're all pretty well the same. Some have a few more additives, but. And because this one tumbles, he doesn't need any sort of support. The one in your container does. So I'm just gonna put this tomato cage on. So the bush tomato is gonna use this sort of a support and get lots and lots of tomatoes. These guys are gonna continue to vine up, and I will use my Velcro straps. This guy is a vining one, and he's probably gonna get attached to the back side of this screen. And one other thing, when you're gardening, don't be afraid to try something fun. This is my conversation piece. This works really well for me. I don't have kids in school anymore. I don't have grandbabies. I don't really have a whole lot of family in town. So any opportunity I have to flap my gums at somebody, I will take it. This is called a mouse melon cucamelon. And it's a little tiny lemony flavored cucumber. And I usually plant it out by the alley strip. Anybody that goes down by an alley, if they see flowers growing, they will pick them. So I've got herbs down there. I will have the cucamelon this year. I have sunflowers, I get zinnias. I try to think of as many different kinds of things that I can possibly have along there so that people are free to come by and just go, ooh, that's different. Ooh, that's fun. Oh, can I try one? And it's great. This little thing, he only grows about maybe a foot wide, 2 feet wide, but he'll go for 10 feet and you get so many of these little flavor bombs on them.